Mom taught me to play guitar. She taught me the chords. Mom just knew the basic chords, and she taught me when I got my first guitar when I was 8 years old, and she taught me. And there was a guy. There was a guy, and his name was Carl Monroe, but that wasn't his real name. When he was a young boy, him and his brothers took a rowboat across the river down to Manchester, which was a few miles below Concord, where I grew up, Concord. And down the river there was Manchester, Ohio. And they took a rowboat and they went over there, and these boys held up a theater, a movie theater. And they robbed the place, and there was a shootout. And this Carl Monroe, as I knew him, later, 20 years later, because he spent 20 years in the penitentiary, but he got shot in the knee and blew his kneecap out and stiffened his leg, so he walked stiff-legged with that one leg. Of course, he had to go to a hospital because he was shot. When he showed up at the hospital, they got him, He was in the shootout. But he didn't tell on nobody else. His brothers, his older brothers, was the one that, that arranged the whole thing, and he just went along with him. Well, he got shot in the knee, so he turned himself in, and he took the rap for all of them. And he got a big prison sentence, and he was down at LaGrange. And he became a trustee over the years. And he studied the Bible, and he became a minister and a trustee. And he'd go into town with him from LaGrange into Louisville to get supplies and stuff. And he was just trusted, so, and there was a restaurant there in town, and he took up with this sweet little thing. And they come up with this scheme to just walk away. And she arranged it with him, I reckon, or probably, helped him with it, assisted him with it. At this restaurant thing, well, he come up missing. And he ended up back up Concord. That's where he grew up, see? And all the old folks around there, they knew who he was. But he called himself Carl Monroe, but his real name was Eph Wilson. Eph Wilson was his name. And he's this one old guy up there, Carl was walking down the road, and this one old guy hollered, "Eph," and he went. He knew who he was. But he rented a little shack back up a creek there that on a place my dad owned. We still got the farm. We still own the farm. My dad owned the farm, and rented a little shack to Carl. And Betty was the lady's name from the restaurant that helped him get an escape. And finally, I guess the FBI, they found out where he was at or whatever, and they came around there, and they set out at the end of that holler where up the creek was where the house was, and they sat there, and he was coming down the holler, and he saw him, and he just went and opened the door and got in and said, I'm who you're looking for. But the FBI had come down to the grocery store, my dad's grocery store, and talked to him and asked him about him. And Dad said he's a good person. He ain't bothering nobody. He's working. He worked on the farm for Dad. See? He's working. He's a good person. And you know what? When he got in and talked to the FBI, they told him to, go on about his business, and they left him.
Wow.
But everybody knew who he was. His name was Eph Wilson, but he spent 20 years in the penitentiary. But I started saying this because he played guitar and sang. And he'd come down to the house, and Betty, his woman, they sang together. And he taught me, he picked up where Mom left off, showing me the chords and stuff. And he taught me so much on the guitar. And he drew me a scale. I've still got it someplace at Mom's. He drew a scale for the chord changes that if you're playing in D, the chord changes A and E, or A and G. But he taught me the chord changes and drew me a scale. Just a nice person. He was a great guy. I thought the world of him, But I knew him as Carl Monroe. It's the Ballad of Eve Wilson.
Great story.
Yeah, that needs to make it on something.
Yeah. Well, you're getting some good stories there, Mike.
Yeah, we can tag that after one of the songs.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Storytellers with Bobby Mackey.
Everybody, everybody that knows the story is pretty much gone, really. So, But that's the way it was. And I was just a little kid, and he and Betty would come down to the house, and they'd sing some old Louvin Brothers stuff. That old song, "I Don't Believe You Met My Baby," which it's got two parts. Betty would sing with him. Have a big time.
Wow, that's great.
Everybody tells me I'd be better off without you. They say one-sided love affairs tend to leave you lonely, sad and blue. And I'm finding it hard to say goodbye to something I hold true. And I'm tired of being something that means nothing to you. I'd love to see the day you come and tell me that I'm the one you need. You got me right where you want me, right where I shouldn't be. And I'm finding it hard to say goodbye to something I hold true. And I'm tired of being something that means nothing to you. I'm tired of being everything that you don't care anything about. It's just enough to be too much for me to take, and I want out. You're in and out of love with me, not realizing all you put me through. And I'm tired of being something that means nothing to you. I'm so tired of being something that means nothing to you.